Hi, this is Shannon from SIS, the number 4 teachers.org. I'm so glad that you've joined us today in learning about math tasks for the primary grades. We're going to be doing a task today called Candy Sale that you can certainly adapt for preschool, kindergarten, first, or even second grade. We are going to be doing a task that is helping to promote mathematical thinking. If you are new to doing tasks, make sure you watch our introductory video on our YouTube channel with the handle at SIS, the number 4 teachers, just so you understand how math tasks are different than just typical story problems. We're trying to apply rigor and deep thinking in our tasks to apply mathematical knowledge. We're going to be using the 8 mathematical practices as we go through each of the tasks. Those are also known as process standards. We're going to first do an anticipatory set with our task that we're doing today. We're going to be looking at this task called Candy Sale. You could certainly do a little video on a candy sale. You could read a book about, selling candy. I chose to just do a picture with a bunch of different types of candies. And so keeping the conversation, to a limited, because we could talk about candy probably forever in pre-K2, but, talking about different types of candy and maybe even giving a scenario of going into a candy store. Some students might have gone into a gas station or somewhere else to buy candy, but maybe kind of looking at the different types of candy. And if maybe each candy cost 1 cent and you had 5 cents, how many could we buy? So you're kind of giving them different scenarios that's going to set us up for the task that we're doing today. The task here, it says the corner store has a sale on candy. The first piece you pick costs 50 cents. Then any piece after that costs 2 cents. If I have 11 cents, how many pieces of candy can I buy? So the idea of this is to get the students to be in the forefront of the task. We don't want to say Jimmy went to the store. It's really about that child, that maybe that child could go into a store for real with some coins and be able to buy some different candy. And so we're trying to figure out how many pieces of candy. You certainly can adjust this problem in any way. You could say that you have 6 pieces of candy and every piece of candy costs 1 cent, or every piece of candy costs 2 cents. How many pieces could you do if you wanted to do it for littles? You also could do this up a little bit higher for second graders, saying that you walk into the candy store with 20 cents in your pocket. And maybe the scenario is one piece costs 5 cents and the others costs 3. How many pieces could you have? You could also do it where you'd have money left over. Really, the options to differentiate tasks are really limitless based on the student that you're working with. The first part of this, although it says drawing our mathematical thinking, we want kids to be able to use this in a mat. I like to put out a variety of manipulatives to see how will a student go about a task that's a little bit more complicated. We don't want to count out 11 little counters or pennies for them, because that's really forcing them to just sort of cut off part of their thinking. Do they know first to get it? Sometimes I like to give 1-inch square tiles and maybe a bowl of counters. If you're doing it at home, you might actually have a real bowl of candy, and then you might have pennies, in a jar, and you could get the child to kind of see how they're sorting it. It's really important for you not to give leading questions and to auto-correct students while they're doing tasks. Some possible solutions on our math work mat might be students that just are working with pennies. And so maybe a child goes in and they grab out their 11 pennies. Maybe this child has kind of designed this piece here as a piece of candy, and then these two together as a piece, and this is a piece, and this is a piece. You would want to ask the child or the student, if you're working on this even at home, you could ask, what do you have on your mat here? Tell me more about what you see. And so some kids might just say, well, I put 5 here, and then I put 2, 2, and 2. I've seen kids that have used 2-sided counters and maybe made this one big yellow counter, and because it is worth 5 cents, and then the other ones here are maybe a red counter, and they know those are like 2-cent pieces. That's a really higher level expert way that kids could look at it. So really, these possible solutions are just some. It's really limitless. The child here may have actually grabbed a different manipulative to maybe represent the candy. So 1 candy, 5 cents, 1 candy, 2 cents, 1 candy, 2 cents, 1 candy, 2 cents. On the mat, you can get the child to explain it. Try not to lead them by giving them the answers. Let them have a little productive struggle. Ask them open-ended questions. Have them be a little bit inquiry as they're thinking about it. It's a really great way to get kids to really think about what they're doing. When students are ready, they can start to draw a picture of their mathematical thinking. Now, it's up to them how they want to do this. We try to do things in quick draws. I drew some real quick kind of candies that you might think of as like mint candies with kind of the ties on the end. And I put a piece of candy and then I put 5 cents. And I put a piece of candy in two, a piece of candy in two, and a piece of candy in two. This is sort of showing that I indeed can buy 4 pieces of candy with my 11 cents. Kids could do this a variety of different ways as well. They could use ringing and labeling, lots of different ways to express how they're answering it. The bottom portion of the task is asking them to record their mathematical thinking. For pre-K, even first grade, you could even talk to them about how they did it. If it's at home, you could ask your child, hey, how did you go about solving the task? If it's in school, you could dictate it, or even second graders could write it on their own. I gave a quick explanation that might be a little bit higher on the expert level, but just giving the idea. First, I got 11 counters for the money and 5 cubes for my candy. I put 5 counters in a group for my first piece of candy. Next, I put 2 pieces down for my second piece of candy until I was out of counters. So, meaning I continued to do that. I counted it and I had 4 pieces of candy. So, getting kids to explain their mathematical process. Tasks are not meant to be a really quick, just get it done and get the answer. It's more about the deeper thinking. And to be honest with you, for students that just find math quick and easy and just write down the answer, this involves a little bit more deeper thinking to get them to explain it. So the math task really starts off with this anticipatory set. It's really based on how the teacher or maybe the parent might interact with the students to get them in the idea. Don't be afraid, to really get into the scenario with looking at the candy, not giving them the exact scenario, but, might saying, I wanted to buy a candy cane and a bunny and it cost 2 cents each. How many pieces of candy could I, get and how much did it cost? You can certainly give scenarios from that. From that, anticipatory set, we want to go into the concrete way of showing it, finally showing it in a pictorial representation with some mathematical thinking on there and then sort of an explanation as to what they were doing. We hope that you found our video tutorial on how to do the candy sale task in your classroom at home in your classroom or at home helpful. You can always connect with us on our website at SIS4teachers.org to see other tasks for the primary, even the intermediate grades to help you integrate those. We would love it if you'd join us on one of your favorite social media channels from Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, or even LinkedIn at SIS4Teachers. Thanks so much for joining us.